So there.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
So there.
So there.
So there.
Let me know your thoughts.
Why do you keep saying let us know your thoughts?
Let me know your thoughts to me is a nice lead-in for So there. So there. Welcome to episode 70 of So There. I'm Tom Karamitis.
And I'm Gary Doyle.
And, this has been one of the longer layoffs we've ever had. So it's been 3 months almost since our last pod in late September.
And the reason that we're podding now is, well, a couple reasons. One is because our fans were clamoring for us too.
Yes, both of them.
Yeah, they actually weren't. And the other reason is, as you can hear in the background, Tom and I have made our annual road trip to the South Woods of northern Minnesota to the So There cabin for our annual holiday episode from the So There cabin. You can hear that fire going. It's very loud. Loud fire.
Well, you know, the wood is dry up here. It crackles loudly. The cabin is all decked out. It's holiday grandeur. Both of our lights are up. And we have no food. And we have to go to the outhouse for the bathroom, but that's all part of the holiday charm up here in the southern woods of northern Minnesota.
It's true. This is not a video pod because Tom and I are both shirtless. And we would not subject our fans to that. But we are at the cabin, and we have just enough to be comfortable here, warm and comfortable. Some beef jerky, a couple of blankets, a wood-burning stove, and no inflatable Santa out front. So their cabin would have no place in Lake Bluff because we do not have an inflatable holiday decoration, a tacky inflatable holiday decoration in our front yard.
We do also have a generator outside, and it gives us just enough power for our old TV set with rabbit ear antennas on top, so we can watch some holiday favorites, and including one of our favorite things to do this time of year is to discuss holiday commercials.
Yes.
And it's funny. There was one I wanted to bring up to you. You might have seen it, but it's a Lexus Christmas Lexus to Remember holiday commercial. But
those are always classic.
They're always classic.
Enjoyable.
And I want to kind of present it to you, Gary Doyle, as if I were a creative. We were doing a creative review because I want to tell you what the story is, and I want you to tell me, in your honest opinion, if there's any way this story can be told in 30 seconds. All right? You might have seen this commercial, you might not, but here we go. Car drives up to a post office. Mom and daughter in the car, and they notice that the post office is closed. Girl says, "What about my letter?" Mom says, "Hey, Lexus, call Uncle Brian." Then we cut to the car driving to the side of a road somewhere where Uncle Brian is waiting there in a different Lexus, of course. The girl then gets into Uncle Brian's car, and they drive up the mountain to a mountain road where apparently Grandpa is waiting in yet another Lexus, of course. She greets her grandfather, and her Christmas letter flies out of her hand in the wind, okay, and goes off into the sky. We then cut to her waking up in bed, and she comes downstairs in the family mansion, to see a new upright piano standing there with a bow on it. And she says, "He did get my letter." Then we cut to her sitting down and playing the piano. Cut. Fade to black. So anyway, let me shut up and ask you, A, have you seen that commercial? And B, whether or not you have, what did you think of that as a piece of 30-second advertising?
Am I reacting as a creative director or a client?
Well, but either or both. Let me know what you think.
As a creative director, I might say, well, it's a little cheesy, frankly. It's a little bit of a cheesy idea, and it sounds like a lot of story for 30 seconds. We don't have a 2-minute media buy here. This is not like an online YouTube thing where we can make it as long as we want. I believe this is a network television ad. Also, the notion of saying, hey, Lexus is ridiculous. Now, as a client, if I was a client, I would say, I like how you've brought the product in right away. I like how we're seeing it. I trust we'll get a great shot of the car. I like how you're saying, hey, Lexus, good key essential element of the story. The brand is a key essential element of the story. I like that. And I like that it doesn't seem very expensive. It looks like a 2-room setup. You're going to go and you're going to be one room, then you're going to be in another, a little bit of driving. Great. Let's test it and see what America thinks.
All right, then now I'm going to play the part of the creative again who presented this idea to you, and I take you aside and I say quietly, hey, look, just between the two of us, I just want to cut a 90 out of this thing for my reel. It probably doesn't make any sense as a 30, but as long as I get my 90 or my 60, I'll be fine. Is that cool?
If a creative presented this work to Tom Karamitis, the master producer, how would Tom Karamitis respond? How would you redirect?
Well, it sounds like it's probably of course, Tom Karamitis would probably mostly be concerned with the logistics of getting it shot and the budget. It sounds like it's probably a 3-day shoot, I'm guessing. 2 days on an exterior where you have to cover off the post office stuff and the various driving shots. And then 1 day inside the house. So I'm figuring, 3-day shoot. Yeah, it feels reasonable. You're getting all 3 Lexuses into the story, right? Which is good. I'm assuming the Hey Lexus line is because to talk to your car, you've got to say Hey Lexus for it to do anything. But my main concern was, I'd say, guys, I think this is way too much story for a 30. Can we cut down Grandpa or Brian? Do we really need to see them visiting 2 different people? But the thing that amazed me, believe it or not, this is also exists as a 2010. A 20-second story with 10 seconds of dealer crap. And I'm not exaggerating. The first few times I saw this on TV, I had no idea what the hell was going on, because what they did was, it was one of those exercises where the editor probably cut it down to make sense, but the creatives wanted every scene in there. So every scene is just too clipped. It's just, they packed it all in there, and it was just, I found incomprehensible. I liked your client reaction, by the way. That was very good.
I think the creatives, what was going through their mind was actually, as you said, the 90-second version for their reel. And they paid no attention to the fact that they'd also need a 2010 when they concepted this idea. They really didn't care about that. They paid it no mind until it came time to actually cut it. And the poor editor is going, oh my God, this is not a 20. And the creator's like, hey man, it makes a great 90 though, man.
Or while they were cutting the 30, they got a call from somebody in media and said, did we mention that we also need a 2010? And then it was panic time.
Well, that's quite possible. That does happen.
They didn't know.
Media kind of airmailing some sort of lobbing some kind of bomb into the mix. Actually, it's not a 60, it's a 15. Yeah,
exactly.
After you started shooting. Tom, I'm going to build on this idea. I'm going to build, even though December to Remember is an iconic campaign, as everybody knows, I'm going to build on this a little bit with a segment we call...
You're welcome.
Isn't that great? I used one of your stingers.
I'm very flattered. Thank you.
As I said, December to Remember is really... no one can deny that it's a great campaign. It actually is not a great campaign, but anyway. But Gary Doyle, his build on this is to why limit this to a December to remember? How about a November to remember? Pull up and for your Thanksgiving family gathering in a new Lexus with a bow around it. How about October to remember? Well, it doesn't quite rhyme with remember, but October to remember. Halloween. I don't know. Why just a December to remember? So there.
Yeah, you can resurrect long retired holidays like Flag Day and Arbor Day,
To remember?
Yeah,
Yeah.
The other odd thing about that commercial was that I was relieved to see that they didn't have the giant bow on the car, yet they did their nod to the campaign of the past by putting the big red bow on the upright piano that they bought the little girl. I was actually relieved that they bought the little girl an upright piano. You'd fully expect it to be a Steinway 9-foot grand, right? Oh, for me? So maybe I guess the reason there was a limit even to the Lexus owner's vast, limitless wealth that is depicted so often in their commercials.
I'm going to build on this idea once again.
You're welcome.
How about instead of an upright piano, she gets a little mini Casio electronic keyboard. And she plays the Meatboat theme on it.
Although I think the Casio keyboard and the Meatboat theme perhaps would work better in like a Dodge commercial. Like if the Dodge person ever had children, right?
Tom Kermitis composed that Meatboat theme you just heard on a Casio mini keyboard in an edit session. And it was remixed by the podcast engineer, the great John Binder.
And the Meatboat theme, if you remember, was then rearranged by Chris Plansker as a solo piano piece.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Was that when Chris visited the So There cabin?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Probably 3-4 years ago.
The talent we've had out to the cabin. My gosh. Tom, the fire needs a little poking. It's getting a little bit quiet.
I'll give it some poking.
I know.
Yeah,
So there. Tom, speaking of holiday ads, I have one that I find truly appalling. On multiple levels, have you seen the Coca-Cola AI generated ad?
I don't think so.
Really? Oh, see, Tom, it's all the talk of the advertising community. Tom Kermitis those days are long behind him. Master producer is retired, but it's all the talk of the advertising community. So Coke created a fully AI generated commercial. And it's appalling.
Describe it to me.
Well, it's a really simple idea. It's kind of a beautiful little town. It's all animated, of course, because it's created by AI. It's all animated, and it's this magical little town for the holidays. And a Coca-Cola truck pulls up that's decorated with holiday lights. Out steps Santa from the Coca-Cola truck, and everybody in the town smiles. That's it. Everybody in the town gets a beautiful, warm glow on their face, and then Santa drives off.
How do you know do they talk about the fact that it's AI generated, or is it just you figure that out?
They did talk about it in press releases, yes. I'm not sure if on the actual ad it says that it's AI generated. It might, but they've talked about it. It's been a big deal. They've trumpeted it as some kind of it's so bad. I mean, it's a bad idea. I don't know if the idea was generated by AI. The production was.
Okay.
And the people have that fake sort of look you get with AI. When you've seen, generative AI.
Yeah.
They have that sort of phony looking. It's motion, but they look phony. It all looks so fake, and it's so bad.
It's very interesting that they did that. I'm going to give you a brief peek behind the curtain to one of the last productions that I was involved with at Leo Burnett before I hung up my lens. And that was
hung up your lens.
And you like that? Yeah, lens on a rope that I never figured out why people wear those.
Yeah, right.
So one of our clients wanted to do a fully AI animated commercial, and we were well on our way to doing it. But then what happened was our legal team got involved because the animation company told me, normally when we create content for you, the agency, we are responsible for making sure we're giving you stuff that is original content that we have created and then you now own. You, the agency, own. But in the case of AI, since it's tapping everything ever on the internet, we can no longer indemnify you. So we don't know if somebody's going to come forward and say, that was my illustration you used in that commercial. So the whole thing we kind of dropped it at that point. So it's interesting to me. Well, the animation company said, we can also do this commercial and just tap into all things we, the animation company, have created but never used before. But that didn't feel like the same thing. That kind of felt all of a sudden like it was a cheat. So we moved away. But that's very interesting that Coke, I wonder, the thing that frightens and terrifies agency attorneys is, as you probably have encountered, that who owns this, right?
Oh, yeah. Our agencies, and I think most agencies are very particular about that, because AI by its nature, it like you said, it pulls from something that's been created already.
Right.
Whether it's words or images or footage. So it is a legal nightmare. Gary Doyle, let me just say, Gary Doyle does not fear AI, unlike some. Gary Doyle doesn't fear AI. AI is a tool right now. It's a tool for words and images, and that's great. But what AI can't do is think of a brand idea. Cannot think of a good one yet. Maybe someday, but it can't.
Have you ever challenged AI to come up with a brand idea and just see what ChatGPT or whatever you're using comes up with?
How would you prompt that?
Well,
like if you can prompt it to say, write a tagline about, or give me an image about Donald Trump riding a, pig, whatever. It'll do that. But in terms of how do you create a campaign for Lexus, it's a little more challenging.
Well, and one of the reasons I asked also is I'm curious if part of the reason not to even ask ChatGPT is because if it comes up with something that you think is a really good idea, is then that your idea? I mean, it's you know what I mean. It's a bit of a conundrum. Once again, reinforcing for Tom Karamitis that he got out of the business at just the right time. So there. Gary, ever since the Olympics, I have felt an utter overload of Snoop.
Oh my God!
We were joking, I think, on one of the podcasts about the Olympics that he was being paid by NBC. What was it? Paying $500,000 a day for his time at the Olympics. But he's everywhere. I mean, he's got to be at this point one of the all-time biggest ad shills. I mean, he's T-Mobile. I feel like I've seen him in about 3 or 4 campaigns, and no one seems to care. He's like, he'll just take anybody's check, and But it's and he's on some of these other Fox shows, the Masked Singer, or some of these stupid singing shows, and it's incredible. I don't understand. For a while, the only place I ever saw him was like on those Corona ads that I think your agency did, right? Wasn't he on the beach?
Yeah.
And that's the only time you ever saw him. But he's, I guess it wasn't an exclusive deal with Corona. But my gosh, there's no limit. No limit.
Yeah. I just, every time I see those snoopings, I'm like, just make it stop. Make it stop. Make it stop. We didn't actually, I don't believe we didn't introduce Snoop Dogg to Corona. I believe that was another agency that did that. Totally agree. It's enough.
Well, and I will add to that, speaking of enough, how about the phrase, and I know we've talked about this, but how about the phrase game changer? Is that got to be the laziest piece of copywriting ever? It's a game changer. Game changer. I mean, and maybe I'm just hyper aware of it now and seeing it everywhere, but I feel like, oh my God, it's like the noun is verb phenomenon. Please make it stop.
Would it push you over the edge if Snoop Dogg used the term game changer? This is a game changer. This is a game-changing deal from T-Mobile. It's better than peanut butter and jelly on gold. It's a game changer. Sorry, that was my really poor Snoop Dogg imitation.
You know what? It was good enough though. I kind of knew where you were going with that. I like that.
Not as good as my Chris Collinsworth impersonation. My God, my God, this Patrick Mahomes, this guy, nobody plays quarterback like him, Mike. My God, I just look at him. I could just kiss him. I could kiss him right on the lips at Patrick Mahomes.
And Chris, who has the cojones to bring his sound-alike son onto the pregame show, does his son have any credentials at all other than being Chris Collinsworth's son? I mean, he didn't play college football or anything, I assume. Did he? Do you know anything about him?
I'd like you guys to use my son. He's great. He talks like me. He looks like me. Come on. Only he's younger. Come on. My God. Snoop Dogg, I don't know if you're aware of this. Again, you're retired, so you're out of the swim.
Yeah, thanks.
Publicis. Well, it's true. Lucky you. Publicis, did you know they hired Snoop Dogg for an announcement? I believe maybe it was the announcement. I don't know, something that
it was
they bought or some. It was a stunt.
Yeah, it was I heard it was the CEO's video to the whole company. Snoop did the intro, that sort of thing. But I didn't see any of the content, but I heard about it. Snoop's got to have the world's greatest agent, though, right? I mean, that's just...
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do you think Artur, isn't that what they call him? Artur? How do you pronounce his name? You used to work for Publicis.
Artur. I never knew how to pronounce his
Sadoun?
last name.
Sadoun?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Artur.
Kind of a Frenchman that runs...
Always wears a white shirt,
Does
no
he?
tie. Yeah, white shirt, button-down shirt, no tie.
That's the business look. Businessy, but not too put together, not too buttoned up.
Rolls up the sleeves, not quite to the elbow, between the elbow and the wrist. That kind of,
Artur. If Artur's listening...
And I'm sure he is.
So there. One other thing for me, Tom, and I just want to note. If I was king of the world, I would like to say one thing to the world
I decree.
Please, world, let Thanksgiving get here before we start talking about Christmas. Let there be Thanksgiving before Christmas. Marketers, right? Like I noticed advertising, Christmas is now creeping into Halloween. Like as we prep for Halloween or right after Halloween, there start to be Christmas ads. Could we just have Thanksgiving? That would be my decree if I was king of the world.
That used to be the rule, right? I mean, you're right. But you know, it almost seems like things will continue to creep, and then there's a breaking point. Like I remember with Thanksgiving, when the stores would open for Black Friday, kept creeping closer and closer to Thanksgiving, and then it was I think it reached a point where Thanksgiving night, before bedtime, like 8, 9 o'clock, stores would be reopening, some of them. And that seemed to be the breaking point. Then I think COVID hit and everything kind of reset again. So it's kind of back to where it used to be, where stores are opening at 6 a.m. or something on Friday. But yeah, maybe we have to reach a breaking point where, Christmas advertising starts after Labor Day and people finally say, you know what, it just doesn't feel like Christmas yet, Labor Day weekend, when I'm barbecuing sausages on the grill.
Labor Day weekend.
I totally agree, though. I totally agree.
That'll happen.
There used to be something really kind of cool about houses were kind of decorated for whatever. Let's just say, a month, from, first week of December to right after to January 1st. And, all the houses were decorated and you see people's trees in the windows and it was kind of fun to drive around. But now you're right. It's like 2+ months of, okay, I get it. People have lights out on their house. They have put those big lights on their deck all year round. Those big white hanging string lights.
Yeah. Well, where I live, people tend to leave their lights up for a long time because they pay somebody an exorbitant amount of money to decorate their house.
Thank you. I was about to say that. Where you live.
They do. Yes, they do, son. They do. Yeah, that'll be $1,200, son, to decorate your house. People here where I live are like, oh, okay, sure. Yeah, great.
Malcolm, I understand the neighbors 2 houses down did their own lights this year. Oh, dear.
And then they're like, by God, if I paid $1,200 to decorate the tree out in front of my house, I'm going to freaking leave it up until March.
Is that what the going rate is, to have a company come in and do your lights like that?
Okay, so we live in a kind of a smallish 100-year-old, it looks like a cottage. It's not, but it's got a really, the eave out front is kind of defines the house. It's got an eave that shapes the front of the house. And I thought one year, we don't put an elaborate display up, and I wouldn't dream of paying somebody, but I was just curious. It's too high for me to get up on a ladder, and I thought, that'd look really nice if that eave on the front of the house was decorated with white lights. And so I got somebody to do a quote, and it was $1,200 for one eave, probably a total of, 75 feet of lights. Now, you had to get up on a ladder, admittedly. Okay. $1,200. Not joking.
Now, I assume that means also, so is that, okay, so are they bringing their own lights to put there, or do you have to buy the lights and they just install them?
I have no idea.
My guess is they're going to bring the lights and then they're going to take them with them, so they reuse lights. But that's unbelievable. $1,200. And then you look at some of the really elaborate, you live on the North Shore, some massive houses that have huge displays. I imagine they're probably spending, $3,000-$4,000 to get a company to come out and deck out their house and take it all down.
This is,
Yeah.
Robin Williams' great quote when he was alive about cocaine is God's way of telling you make too much money.
Yeah.
I mean, this fits in that.
Yeah.
You're going to pay $1,200 so what to decorate your house. You're going to buy an inflatable turkey to put out in front of your house, which I did see some of those now. It's not just inflatable Halloween or inflatable Santas. Now, people where I live, neighbors, have purchased inflatable turkeys.
Yeah.
That are out in front of their house.
Yeah, I think in general the inflatable props has just kind of gone way too far. I look at those things and say, where the hell do you store those things? You're really going to have to deflate your turkey or your Santa and keep it in a corner of your basement for the rest of the year. It's like, and those things are hundreds of dollars too. It's not a quick, like going to Walmart and buying a strand of lights for $9. You're done. But
Walmart, what's Walmart, son? I'm not familiar with that. Is that a little boutique? Is that a boutique in Lake Forest I'm not aware of? For your walls? Is it wall art? Why didn't they just call it wall art instead of Walmart? Son.
Hey, you know what? That's part of what you have to deal with living on the North Shore. There's a lot to keep up with. You've got to hold up your end of the bargain. There's a lot of financial pressure. That's why you come out to where I live, where the common man lives. It's
Gary Doyle does not participate.
well,
But I would like to decree that this would stop if I was king, and I might have them killed. So there. Well, Tom, on that note, I'm getting a little bit weary from the chatter and the fire going. It's all very relaxing and making me tired. And so I think it's perhaps time to take a nap by the roaring So their fire you hear going quite loudly in the background, and wrap this up. What do you say, Tom?
Yes, yes. Plus our generator's starting to sputter a little bit outside, so we're going to go dark very quickly.
All right. So for Tom Karamitis, this is Gary Doyle wishing you a happy holidays, or as Menards would say, oh, so just gonna die.